Welcome back to The Last Thing Before Sleeping. I'm Rufus Brown, and I'm here to provide you an analysis, but before I begin, allow me to address the elephant in the room. For the sake of my privacy, I am coming to you behind an AI voice and imagery. Please do not let that distract you from my message. Tonight, the last thing we're going to discuss isn't far-off geopolitical rivalries, it's something closer to home, but with global implications. U.S. Election Day 2025. Now, to our viewers outside of the United States, particularly those in Europe, Asia, and beyond, let me quickly set the stage. In the U.S., every year can be an election year. Tuesday was an off-year election, meaning no president or major federal seats were on the ballot. Yet, the results from key state and local races tell a powerful story. One that is truly a referendum on the current state of American politics and the political trajectory of the Republican Party. The Democrats swept the major contests, the governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia, and the high-profile mayoral race in New York City. We also saw the passage of California's Proposition 50, a crucial redistricting measure. I want to talk about why this happened and what it tells us about the issues that genuinely motivate American voters today. Because the headline isn't just who won. It's how they won and what issues the losing side simply failed to address. If there's one phrase that defined the successful campaigns, it was cost of living. In both the gubernatorial races in New Jersey and Virginia, the Democratic candidates Mikie Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger ran on what I would call a campaign of pragmatic centrism. They have strong moderate backgrounds, one a former CIA officer, the other a Navy pilot, and they relentlessly focused on pocketbook issues, the high cost of healthcare, energy prices, and taxes. This is a critically important lesson for the entire Democratic Party, and frankly any progressive movement. These candidates understood that for the vast majority of working and middle-class voters, the existential threat isn't just a political philosophy. It's the stress of an escalating grocery bill or an unaffordable mortgage. It was a stark contrast to the Republican strategy, which often centered on cultural anxieties, crime, and immigration. Now, these are important issues, of course, but the exit polls across all three states showed that voters overwhelmingly rated the economy and affordability as their top concern. I'm from Berkeley, California, and I have many progressive friends who, like me, care deeply about climate and social justice. But even in a progressive bubble like that, I saw in my own community that if people feel they can't afford to live a decent life, everything else becomes secondary. This election confirmed that at the ballot box, economic reality trumps cultural politics. Now, let's talk about the exception that proves the rule. Zohran Mamdani's victory in New York City. Mamdani is an unreserved progressive, a democratic socialist who ran on a radical platform. Proposals like city-run grocery stores, universal free childcare, and freezing rent on stabilized apartments. This is the far left of the Democratic tent, and he won overwhelmingly. Why? Because his radical platform was fundamentally an affordability platform. Mamdani used his progressive ideals not for vague slogans, but to address the material concerns of working class and young voters in New York: rent, food, and transit. His win was a huge victory for the progressive wing, but it wasn't a win for ideology alone. It was a win for left-wing populism that actually delivers a plan to make things cheaper. This is what I find so fascinating. On the same night, you have moderates winning in swing states by talking about lowering costs, and a socialist winning a major city by proposing radical, structural ways to lower costs. The common denominator is clear: deliver economic relief. The method is what differs. So why did the Republican candidates fare so poorly, losing 2 governorships and the NYC mayor's race to a socialist? The analysis is twofold, and it goes to the heart of what my specialization, critical geopolitics, studies: the danger of relying on a single, dominant narrative. First, the absence of Trump on the ballot. As the incumbent president, his name was not on the ticket, and the results clearly reinforced a pattern. The Republican base, which is singularly motivated by Donald Trump himself, often doesn't show up in the same numbers for other candidates. The party has yet to figure out how to translate personal fealty to the president into voter turnout for local and state candidates. Second, a misaligned focus. Republican candidates, like Jack Ciattarelli in New Jersey, were often pulled too far into the gravitational orbit of the party's cultural battles, losing focus on the local, practical issues. While they were talking about school curriculum fights, their opponents were talking about the cost of prescriptions, The resounding defeat of the GOP is an alarm bell for them. Voters are tired of national culture wars when their personal economy is struggling. They need a concrete, actionable plan for making life affordable, not just abstract political rhetoric. For my international viewers, this isn't just a breakdown of American states. It's a microcosm of political trends everywhere. Whether you are in London, Berlin, or Beijing, when an economy is tight, the political winners are the ones who can look voters in the eye and offer a tangible plan to make their lives better. And the political losers are those who are seen as distracted by secondary squabbles. It's a universal lesson in political science. So as you head into the night, I leave you with this thought: beware the political narrative that makes you feel emotional, and listen instead to the one that promises to solve your material problems. Sleep well, and I'll see you next time.